3rd Virginia Tech DC area graduate commencement has begun. We asked you take a moment to notice the closest emergency exit. This is also the time to turn off or silence your mobile devices if you haven't already. Thank you. Please stand as you are able for the posting of the colors by the University Color Guard and the singing of our national anthem by Matthew Edwards.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. My name is Chantrice Hayes, and I'm an Assistant Dean for Academic Affairs and Student Success in the Graduate School. And it is indeed a pleasure to welcome you to the 2023 Virginia Tech, Washington, D.C. area Graduate Commencement Ceremony. Today, nearly 150 students will be recognized for completing degree requirements for doctoral, education specialists, master's, and certificate programs from 6 of the university's colleges and, of course, the graduate school. Their wealth of research, scholarship, and application of knowledge generated during their degree progress constitutes a significant achievement for our students, who stand poised today to make an indelible mark as the next generation of leaders here at home and in the global community. At this time, I have the high honor to introduce the President of Virginia Tech, Dr. Timothy Sands.
Thank you, Chantrice. Good afternoon and happy Mother's Day. On behalf of the university community, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Spring 2023 Graduate Commencement exercises in the DC area. We want to thank our governing body, the Virginia Tech Board of Visitors, for their deep commitment to the university. We are fortunate to have board member Sharon Martin here with us this afternoon. I also want to welcome Robert Weiss, our faculty representative to the board. He led us off this afternoon. And please join me in recognizing the university's Board of Visitors. It is also important to note that these students we are honoring today would not have achieved their goals without the teaching, guidance, and mentorship of Virginia Tech's outstanding faculty. Our faculty are the vital link that connects our academic past to the ever-expanding, vibrant University of Knowledge represented in our graduates here today. I would now like the faculty to please stand so they can be recognized. And the supporting cast of family, friends, and community members behind each graduate also deserves recognition, with the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, partners, spouses, and children. Please stand as you are able so that we may congratulate you as well. It's now my pleasure to present Virginia Tech's Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs, Dr. Ron Fricker.
Thank you, President Sands. Ladies and gentlemen, faculty members, distinguished guests, and most importantly, members of the class of 2023. On behalf of Provost Cyril Clark, it is my pleasure to be here today to congratulate you, our graduates. The Virginia Tech faculty, our college deans and department leaders, and the entire Virginia Tech community takes great pride in your accomplishments and in having supported each of you in your journey to graduation today. I am grateful for the opportunity to join you in your celebration of this milestone achievement. As we celebrate today, the world faces many challenges. It is a world grappling with complex problems, from climate change, resulting in dramatic shifts in weather, rising sea levels, and the loss of precious biodiversity, to the pursuit of equality and social justice, to the challenges of global cooperation. It is a brave new world driven by artificial intelligence and automation that have revolutionized and will continue to revolutionize the way we live and work. AI heralds a future full of promise, but one that will come with new ethical dilemmas and threats to privacy as well. Ours is a world full of challenges that demand our attention, and so does a world that requires our commitment to finding solutions and making a difference. As Hokies who will carry forward the spirit of Utprosum into the next phase of your lives, you have the opportunity, and I would say even the responsibility, to use your skills and talents positively to impact our society, both locally and globally, and to advance the welfare of people around the world through education, knowledge, and advocacy. When Hokies combine capacity with compassion, we create a global community of people who can improve the world around us for everyone. When we combine the power of technology with talent, we create access to resources and relationships that bring us closer together. And when we combine education with empathy, we build systems and structures that can feed, clothe, cure, educate, and enlighten communities around the world today and for generations to come. Once again, congratulations on this momentous achievement, and I wish you the best of luck in your personal and professional endeavors. As you look to the future, I recommend the sage advice of Denzel Washington, who said, "Don't just aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference." Hokies, the world awaits you, and I have no doubt that you are ready to tackle its challenges with passion, with dedication, and an unwavering commitment to creating a better future for us all. 2023 graduates, go make a difference. And now it's my honor and pleasure to introduce the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Amy Zerperman.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Rappahannock, Pamunkey, Upper Mattapony, Chickahominy, Eastern Chickahominy, Nansemond, Monacan, Mattapony, Potawatomi, and Nottoway people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live, and recognize their continuing connection to the land, water, and air that Virginia Tech consumes. I'd like to pay respect to these nations and their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'd like to offer my sincere congratulations to all of the students who have fulfilled the requirements for a graduate degree at Virginia Tech. Many of our graduates have won fellowships or scholarships, awards and accolades, special recognitions throughout their programs, and have served the university in countless ways. Congratulations on all of your accomplishments, and thank you for being a part of the Virginia Tech graduate community. Please join me in a round of applause for all of our outstanding graduates. My first thought is you made it. You made it through hardship, you made it through sorrow, you made it through many difficult circumstances. At the same time, you've thrived in your programs and have reached a high standard of excellence. I'm in awe of your strength and resilience. A graduate degree is both an incredible and impossible achievement that only a tiny fraction of individuals realize. It takes a powerful combination of intellectual aptitude, resilience, diligence, and support to complete. Now that you're finished, I hope you can take the time to reflect on and be proud of all the hard work you put into attaining this degree. I know that we are proud of you, as are your supervisors, your mentors, your family, and your friends. All the hard work you put in matters. It means something. My biggest piece of advice for you is to determine what is most important in your life and always strive to keep that in focus. It may be family, friends, it may be a driving passion to study the stars or write a book or run a marathon. That important thing might change over time, so make sure you examine your priorities and continue to focus on the things that are important to you. Ask for lots of advice from lots of people, but in the end, make the decisions that are best for you, that will make you happy. It's your life, you must live it for you. Although we're all worried about the future, I believe in you. I believe in your ability to be resilient. I believe in your sense of justice. I believe you will make the world a better, more equitable place. Be well, be happy, be proud. You've got this. Class of 2023, congratulations, and my very best wishes to you all. This spring, we've invited 2 graduate students to share some comments about their experiences. Modeled after the Nutshell Games hosted by the Virginia Tech Center for Communicating Science, each student will share a story in 3 minutes. I know you'll enjoy their reflections. Mariah Damon, who's earning her MSBA in Hospitality and Tourism Management, is our first speaker, and she will be followed by Nareg Seferin, who's earning a PhD in Planning, Governance, and Globalization.
Hello, I am honored to be on the stage in front of you all, but especially in front of my family and friends. I'm so proud to have repped the school in the hospitality and tourism program here for the past 5 years, going from the drastic mountain view in Blacksburg to living the city girl lifestyle here in DC. But I know that this is not most people's experiences sitting here today. Before pursuing your master's or PhD, you've sought success in growing your families, moving internationally or domestically, or finding a career that you're passionate about. Yet somehow, through all the decisions that you could have made, graduating from VT is now a part of your story. I, like most people, enjoy a good story. I love hearing how a person went from humble beginnings to massive success. I love hearing my grandparents' stories of their youth and how they fell in love. And I love hearing a true Prince of Bel-Air story where someone's life got turned upside down. The last 2 or 7 years that you've been pursuing your degree has intertwined the school into the midst of your life. I know personally my friends and family are tired of hearing me say, I'm almost finished, 6 more months, 3 more months, 2 more weeks. But I ask myself in the midst, what have I learned during this past year as a student and a person? I truly think it is the value of community. I've always been a relator, but when you're thrown into a new city with only your clothes in your car driving up, community becomes really important to you. My campus minister in college would always say, if you can do something with someone else, why not do it? I hope that your time here, you've taken a friend to learn the ways of the metro system, seen the monuments together and realize how far Falls Church is from DC, and somehow determined the best boba to get from all the 30 different choices you had in a 5-mile radius. Or at NVC, bonding over the food every day through Welcome Week, the mini ping pong tournaments in the lounge, and the camaraderie shared between classmates who you're taking hard classes with. I hope that your time here was done in community with people that supported you, friends that turned into family, professors and advisors that turned into friends, and timely FaceTime calls with your family and friends when you needed them the most. One last story before I head out. This benediction, per se, will not be encouraging you all to pursue the future and take your learning into hand, as the case for most undergrads, although all those are true. Instead, I'll try to give a new direction. My parents, aka my besties, took a scary leap this year, not only becoming empty nesters, but my dad also retiring from his job to spearhead their businesses, while my mom took a chance on real estate ventures. Together, they decided to take a risk, as people normally don't do in their early 50s, and sought to pursue new dreams and new passions. One of their many mottos is to do everything in excellence, using the season to do just that: learn, grow, make mistakes, but form their craft, pumping themselves up with one of my dad's favorite slangs is, "We're just getting started, baby." So I hope that you can take my parents' leap of faith as an example moving forward. I challenge you in whatever season of life that you're in, that you ride every transition in grace, that you keep getting better, that you hone your craft, being the best at what you do, and pursue new dreams when it's time to move on. So thank you to my parents who sacrificed so much for me, my family who's here today and those who are not, my friends who supported me in closing up this story's chapter, and last but not least, Jesus, who I wouldn't be here without, and who writes the very best stories. Go Hokies.
Hello, everyone. Dear professors, colleagues, family, friends, honored guests, members of the university leadership, I am very grateful for this opportunity to share 3 thoughts with you all this afternoon. 3 words. 1. The word Hoki in the Armenian language means soul, and Hokis means my soul. It is a term of endearment when referring to a loved one. I call my nephews and nieces Hokis all the time. Imagine my pleasant surprise when I received a letter of acceptance from Virginia Tech in October 2018 and discovered that, well beyond the world of Armenian loved ones, there were tens, rather hundreds of thousands of Hokis waiting to welcome me into their fold. How apt, how lovely. I felt like I fit in immediately. 2, the word education. It comes from Latin roots, e or ex and ducare, roughly meaning to lead or to lead out. It is a reference to providing guidance to young men and women. In French and in Spanish, the word formación is also used, formation, the creation and making, I like to think, of human beings. Now, this is an unfair playing around with etymology, to be sure. However, when I told one of my nephews, one of my Hokis, that I am finally finishing school in the 25th grade, his eyes widened, and I realized that for so long, So much of my life and worldview has been shaped by so many classrooms, so many teachers, professors, fellow students, friends, and books and articles. And maybe today, many of us are indeed saying goodbye to our formal education, but what that education has formed will stay with us forever. 3, the word gratitude. Here we have another Latin root, gratus or gratia, related to thankfulness, and grace. In Armenian, we say shenor hagal for grateful. Shenor is grace, and the second part of that word has to do with bearing or carrying. So when I say shenor hagal em, I am saying I am grateful, thank you. But as my grandfather liked to interpret it, what I'm really saying is that I bear grace, your grace. You being perhaps more immediately my professors and colleagues at the School of Public and International Affairs, or Virginia Tech as a whole, or the grace of the entire endeavor and privilege and blessing of trying to be led, to be formed, and to build up a soul. Hokis among Hokis. Shnor Hagal Em. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariah and Nareg. Our commencement speaker today, Mircea Johanna, became NATO Deputy Secretary General in October 2019 after a distinguished domestic and international career. Mr. Johanna is the first Secretary General from Romania and the first from any of the countries that joined the alliance after the end of the Cold War. He has served as a diplomat and a politician, and in 2009 was his party's candidate to be president of Romania. He's a strong advocate for transatlantic integration and has held a number of international positions, including Romanian ambassador to the United States from 1996 to 2000. He is president and founder of the Aspen Institute Romania and has published extensively on domestic and international affairs. I know the Deputy Secretary General shares Virginia Tech's interest in advancing innovative solutions to meet emerging global threats and opportunities, areas in which today's graduates are prepared to make meaningful contribution. Please join me in welcoming Mircea Johanna.
Thank you, President Sands. Congratulations, class of 2023. Let's see a little bit of energy in this room. Congratulations, my dear friends. And to your great faculty, thank you for lending me such a smart outfit. I don't see these kind of uniforms in NATO every day, but for a change, thank you for that. My dear friends, today is a big day. It's a memorable and exciting day for you, the students, your families, and also myself. I want to recognize the emotion I feel in this room from all your loved ones, your families, your friends, your relatives, who are either present today or following this ceremony online. Over your years here, you have forged friendships and connections that I know will endure for years. They will accompany you as you will embark or resume your professional and personal journeys. But before going any further, let me also add my deep sense of appreciation and wishing Happy Mother's Day to everyone that is so important in our lives. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. And what a wonderful gift for the mothers to either graduate themselves on this day or to watch their children graduate. Like your parents, dear friends, I've been fortunate and emotional to see both my kids graduate from universities in the United States. I know how proud you feel, dear parents and families, and I know what a sense of immense joy and belonging together you develop in this great ceremony. In fact, my daughter, Anna, did not only graduate in the US, she met her husband here in her senior year at Penn University. And they will soon to be married, so watch out, parents, mothers, things might happen in this very room if they're not happening already. It is also important, at a day that university's leadership team, and I know because I used to be professor, and I invested a lot in leadership in all my long years of life. I know how proud they feel to see so much talent. And I know that sometimes faculty and students, there's not always, heaven under the sun, but I know that they deserve our praise. Let's also thank them for the hard work to bringing you here. Two very good friends of mine have a direct relationship with Virginia Tech. Ambassador Taubman, a formidable business leader and former ambassador to my home country of Romania, is a VT graduate. And also my very good political friend, Congressman Connolly, who is a huge VT supporter and introduced me to President Sanders. So in a way, I think, Gene Connolly, if you're watching us, I think you're also part of this conspiracy to bring me here today. I'm also sure that many of you will also take an important position in public service or private industry for the benefit of your community, of your countries, and of the world as such. And if you're trying to find jobs in international organizations, here I am. I also run human resources in NATO, so there's tough to get into NATO, but I know with the talent here, many of you would I hope, qualify and apply. I'm in awe for the knowledge and expertise there is here in this great university and in the great state of Virginia. The Center for Innovative Technology, the CIT, is here close by. I first visited it in 1997 when I was a very young Romanian ambassador to the United States. At that time, I didn't know so much about the complexity of American politics or the complexity of world affairs. But the CIT was somehow something a little bit unique and strange in a way. An isolated, modern building on the way from and to the Dallas International Airport. All the planet is coming through Dallas. So I think not only me as a Romanian wondering what's going on with this inverted pyramid. That particular architecture is so disruptive for such a beautiful scenery. The only kind of its own in the area. Futuristic, daring, and quite telling of what was to come. For me, the iconic building reflected openness, inclusivity, and boundless opportunities. And it symbolized the immense potential of Virginia as a hub for innovation. But an inverted pyramid can also symbolize a world turned upside down. And this is indeed the right visual metaphor for the world that you, my dear young friends, you will be living in. Full of the promise of innovation, but also full of the risks attached to a dramatically changing and uncertain world. Look at Virginia Tech, the very reason why CIT was started a quarter century back, to nurture the system of innovation and the magnet that a great university represents for business and government and international students alike. This academic institution has spearheaded innovation and nurtured a wide system like no other on the East Coast of America. There is so much potential right here. Innovation is booming in this great university, and I count on all of you, and the ones before you, and the ones coming after you, to continue to make it grow. In a short while, you will receive your well-deserved and prestigious graduate degree. It marks the end of a chapter and the start of a new one. So now you might wonder, if you don't have it figured out already, what's next? Well, I do not have a crystal ball, and not even the inverted pyramid could tell us the exact future. Back then, like today, we had to navigate uncharted territory. But I've been around the block for some time now. I've seen much of the world. I've seen much of the people. I've seen much of politics. I've seen much of diplomacy. I've seen much of talent. And let me try to give you just a few things I learned. Hopefully that this will be useful in your wonderful lives and careers you're starting today. For one, the world needs people like you. Tech-savvy, creative thinkers, disruptors, innovators, and I know, future great leaders. Because we have some very difficult problems to solve and barriers to address, my dear friends. These are critical times for our societies, for our economies, and for our security. Russia's war on Ukraine has shattered peace in Europe and the rule-based international order. It is indeed under great pressure, and this is important to all of us. This order that has kept us safe and ensured prosperity and freedom for over 7 decades. That places personal freedom, democracy, and the rule of law above the petty desires of autocrats and dictators. War is back in Europe and could happen anywhere around the world. Making Ukraine prevail in this war and win this war is important not only for Ukraine or for Europe, because what happens today in Europe could happen tomorrow in Asia or anywhere else. And look how bravely and innovatively the Ukrainians are using from the shelf tech apps to shoot down Russian drones. Or how big tech firms and NGOs join hands to deter cyber and hybrid attacks against civilian populations and infrastructures. Strategic competition is fierce. Security challenges are multiplying, both in the real world, in the digital world, in cyberspace, in space, and God knows, because you're so young, on a different planet. It's also true that we are re-entering something that we believed was over at the end of the Cold War, in an era of great power competition. Russia is a threat, as I mentioned, but terrorism threatens our citizens. Iran is using cyber against Albania and many other nations. For the first time in centuries, we face a formidable competitor in China that has both the intent and the ability to reshape the international order. Great power competition is back. At the same time, we are confronted with climate change, with nuclear proliferation, sophisticated cyber attacks, competition in space, and ever more and accelerating disruptive technologies. It is a dangerous and competitive world. It's also a fast-paced and unpredictable world. It takes only a click of a button to shut down our networks, a single social media message to spread lies to our citizens, and a pandemic like COVID-19 to paralyze our societies. The meaning of security has dramatically changed, and so has the job of keeping us safe. It is not only that something that men and women in uniform, the uniform back in NATO, not this one, do. is something that we all do. Societal resilience is our first line of defense. For centuries, security in our democratic society has been tied not just to our ability to innovate, but to lead innovation. Today, that's more true than ever, especially in the field of technological innovation that you're super specialized in. The competition to develop and control disruptive technologies, as I said, is intensifying. It is the institutions like this one that we can address the challenges through innovation and, yes, the power of ideas. This is where you come in. We need your talent. We need your bright minds to drive innovation forward, faster, and to stay ahead of the competition. And to do so in a way that protects and enhances our rights and our freedoms and does not restrict or undermine them. We need your knowledge, sophistication, and expertise to manage data, to create algorithms, to understand smart systems, and much more. The clever use of technology is key to protect our societies, outsmart even the most formidable adversaries, and solve some of the greatest problems for human mankind. You know how to do that. And I want to make a point that I'm adamant about. We need more women in STEM. From getting more girls interested in studying science and tech in school, in high school, and in colleges and universities, to make more equal representation for women in the boardrooms of tech companies, and yes, on the political corridors of power. In today's more competitive and dangerous world, we simply cannot afford to leave half of the population and half of the finest talent behind. At NATO, we play our part, having long recognized the importance of women for our security and deterrence, integrated gender perspective in everything we do. I'm also proud that my alma mater, the Polytechnic University of Bucharest, has reached almost gender parity amongst its students and graduates. So it can be done. I'm also happy to see so many young women around the class of 2023. Good work. We need more of you. We need all of you to be part of this journey. The second thing I know, and I know this one very well, is that not everyone in the world is free. This might sound like an obvious thing to say, but at a time when global freedom is declining, it is important to remember how lucky we are to live in democratic societies and to have the freedom to think, to innovate, to create, and to be part of the greatest gift, which is our democratic and open societies. And sometimes we tend to forget how lucky we are. Here in the US, like in any other free country, talent can thrive. Creativity can be unleashed. I see this as a very precious gift. I'm also aware that others see it as a weakness and as a danger. There are regimes and politicians around the world that would like to control our freedom, and in doing so, to restrain individual and collective freedoms. And in the worst case scenario, happening many times, they punish those thinking outside their box and taking initiative. To anyone who believes that authoritarian regimes offer a better way of organizing the world, I would challenge them to try it for a while. I've done it half of my life in communist Romania. Please do not try it. It's not worth it. Believing otherwise equates to engaging in a Faustian pact, where you follow the rules, but in doing so, you sacrifice your very freedom. You end up enabling control and punishment. You side with Big Brother. So I know that democracy has lots of offer. I know that democracy has always to be replenished and renewed. But I know that democracy brings freedom, brings hope, opportunities, ideas. And I want you to cherish the gift you have and to make the most out of it. So, bring on crazy ideas. Believe the impossible to be possible. And as you strive for success, dare to take risks. Be disruptive. Have the courage to fail. Have the strength to bounce back. As leaders, you will need, as future leaders, you will need to make the decision for yourselves. And in uncertain times, it's easy to get lost. I sometimes have the feeling I get lost. So I urge you, find in yourselves your own moral compass. It's not identical. We're not identical, we're different. We come from different backgrounds, from different religions, from ethnic backgrounds, from different geographies. There is something universal about human dignity. In difficult times, develop and trust your moral compass. This will guide you through uncharted territories. This will give you the power of innovation. And also this will give you not only the power to innovate, but also the responsibility to have ethical guardrails for that. You are not only the future great innovators of your generation, but also the guardians of our freedom, of human dignity, and of our security. President Sands was kind enough to mention my bio. It's also in this perfect booklet. And if you read that, you have the impression that I've always been, moving upwards. No. My own career, my own life, has lots of ups and downs. I was declared victor in a presidential race in my country. The next morning, something dubious happened. It was gone. I felt how it feels to be let down. To have people that were applauding you because you were a big shot just turning their backs on you. How sometimes treason is part of life. But I have one message for you. If you believe in yourselves, if you build upon the fantastic education you're receiving in this great school, if you have your moral compass, you will always get up and move on. Nobody believed that after my complicated life in Romanian politics, I would be number 2 at NATO, the first from all new countries in NATO. There is always a chance to redeem yourself and move forward. Being a leader is not only when you're on the top. It's mainly when you're down. And when you have the strength to get up and continue to fight for the values you hold dear. Keep fighting for your values. And also, keep fighting for the values that develop when you're very young. Because as you grow a little bit older, you tend to be a little bit more cynical. Remember these fantastic dreams and romanticism of your young years. Keep them in your heart. Cherish those. And if you have doubts, remember this beautiful ceremony we are celebrating today together. Third, I know that cooperation makes us stronger. We can do much alone. Individualism and action for individual freedom is present, and in each of us there is that. But we can do so much more together as individuals, as companies, as countries, as organizations, as human species. If you look around, you'll notice those sitting next to you, in front of you, behind you. You that you are friends after studying together, and many of your families that are meeting for the first time. Cherish that. Community is important. Individual freedom is important. Community service is also important. Think of your peers, of your friends, of your family members, your professors, and all the people who stand by you, encouraged you, sacrificed for you. We are a global community, and working together is a must. Adapting our societies to the global digital transformation and setting the pace of technological development is too big of a job for anyone to do it alone. Just like protecting 1 billion people that live in the NATO countries, 1 billion people, more than 50% of global GDP, is not only for NATO to do it alone. It is a team effort. When he spoke before the US Congress back in 2019, Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg was a very simple message to a joint session of US Congress. He said to America, it's good to have friends. I also say to you, my friends, it's good to have friends and have friendships, not only in your own country, but through this great school all around the world. At NATO, 31 countries from across Europe and North America stand together as friends and allies. Finland, a neutral country until recently, decided to become our 31st member. Soon we welcome Sweden, a country neutral since 1812. After the Napoleon War, decided to join our ranks and will be joining us soon. We cherish our partnerships with the United Nations, with the European Union, and with almost 40 nations around the world that are partners to my great organization. The value of NATO is that in a more dangerous world, no country stands alone. We have each other's backs. We defend one each other. All for one and one for all is our motto. It is our unity, our friendship, our close cooperation that makes us the strongest alliance in the world. Not only because we are numerous and we are having so much combined strength, but because we have the best universities, the best innovators, and we have the spirit of anticipation and permanent adaptation in our genes. So I'm proud to represent the organization that is considered by allies and foes alike as the most successful alliance in human history. And I will be proud to return to Washington next year for our summit marking our 75th anniversary and to renew our vows to defend freedom, to defend democracy, to defend the rule of law, and to defend our people, our territory, and yes, our values. But to remain strong and to be even stronger in an era of great power competition, it is essential that we continue to work together to sharpen our technological edge. I mentioned I chair the Innovation Board in NATO. All our NATO countries have excellent academic institutions, creative companies and startups. I hope many of you will start one. Access to venture capital, the bedrocks of innovation. We have also the very fine compilation of scientists and researchers and a wealth of talent. This is the richness of my organization. I'm very proud that we launched this year the first ever Defense Innovation Accelerator for the North Atlantic, Diana, with more than 100 test centers and accelerators from all NATO countries to be at the service of startups that would like to test their ideas. Come and use your ideas in Diana. We also started, and I'm very proud, that we have started the first ever multinational sovereign venture capital fund. Sounds a little bit of attention, you know what I'm saying? Multinational sovereign and venture capital? No, we started an innovation fund which will be run by professional startup people. So if you have ideas that are useful to us, use Diana, use the Innovation Fund. And if you want to join NATO, I also have us on the website jobs to offer for the ones who come. I'm consistent in my pitch to convince you guys to work for us as well, not only for others. To give an example how technology that in the 50s and the 60s, 90% of the technology used for defense and security was produced by governments, was trickling down to the private sector. Today, 90% of the same technologies are produced by the private sector, and only 10% by governments. To give you an example, in 2017, US Navy officers were complaining that the controllers used to operate periscopes on submarines were too clunky. So the Navy replaced the traditional helicopter-style joysticks with Xbox controllers. Not only that they were dramatically cheaper, but they were also radically reduced the training time from hours to minutes. Smart, simple, hugely efficient. So I challenge all of you to put your clever brains together and come with some of the next groundbreaking innovations, big or small, that will make our world safer and our societies at peace. The future is in your hand, my dear friends. When I got my job in 2019, Secretary General Stoltenberg invites me in his office. We have offices back to back. He said, Mircea, I know that we are working great together, but I have one specific job for you. I said, what? I want you to be the champion of innovation in NATO. Okay. Probably he knew that I was an engineer as a foundation. But today, my dear friends, I'm here to pass the relay to you. I want you to be the champions of innovation in everything you do, in every corner of the world, in every piece of your professional, personal, or community lives. Be the champions of innovation. Change the world. Don't let the world change you. Lead. Don't be just followers. Innovate. Don't be just imitators. Follow your moral compass and make a difference in other people's life, not only in your own. And I have today just 3 mantras that I'm leaving with you from all my heart, with all the love I have for great, fine academic institutions and for the young generation. Share what you know, the world needs it. Nurture cooperation, it provides strength. And most of all, cherish your freedom. Cherish your freedom. It's truly a gift. Cherish your freedom to innovate in every single corner of our societies. Never give up. Always challenge the status quo. No matter the hardships, no matter the confrontation, no matter the discouragements. And more importantly, as I mentioned before, as you grow older, maintain this enthusiasm, this beauty of your heart, of your young hearts and souls. By doing so, you'll unleash your true leadership potential. You'll be speaking truth to power. You'll stand out and you'll grow. Very much like the lonely, inverted pyramid at CIT, you'll not only be a misfit, but a trailblazer, a pioneer. It's in your hands. Be the leaders that you can become. Be the leaders that you will become. And take over the relay. Be champions of innovation and freedom and cooperation around this beautiful world of ours. God bless you. Congratulations, class of 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Secretary General, for those inspiring, timely, and timeless remarks. It's an honor to share the stage with you. Thank you. We will now begin the conferral of degrees, beginning with the doctoral degrees. The doctoral degree represents the highest level of academic achievement and requires that students go far beyond the acquisition of knowledge. A successful doctoral student should transform into a producer of knowledge, someone who will contribute to leading-edge scholarship in their field. Although some doctoral students will go on to become professors and pursue a career in academia, others will apply their skills to public service and government, launch innovative products, or open new frontiers in K-12 education. A very old and special tradition in academia accompanies the presentation of the doctoral degree. The doctoral candidate and the student's major advisor, the person who most mentored and supervised the student's research, join each other on the stage where the advisor places the hood over the head of the graduate. By hooding the graduate, the faculty member symbolically welcomes the graduate as a professional colleague, and a professional relationship and friendship often continues throughout the graduates' and mentors' lives.
Will all the candidates for Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees please rise? President Sands, I have the honor to present the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Education degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Will the candidates for the doctoral degrees and their major professors now approach the stage for the hooding ceremony?
Receiving a PhD in Architecture and Design Research, Gulnar Ahmadi, who will be hooded by Professors Paul Emmons and Marcia Feuerstein. Receiving a PhD in Architecture and Design Research, Mariam Al-Mohanadi, who will be hooded by Professor Paul Emmons. Receiving a PhD in Architecture and Design Research, Perrin Taram, who will be hooded by Professor Paul Emmons. Receiving a PhD in Civil and Environmental Engineering, Riham Abu Sema, hooded by Professor Kenneth Wong. Receiving a PhD in Computer Engineering, Yibin Dong, hooded by Professor Kenneth Wong. Receiving a PhD in Computer Engineering, Ning Wang, hooded by Professor Wenjing Liu. Receiving a PhD in Computer Science and Applications, Rendra Chowdhury, hooded by Professor Chandan K. Reddy. Receiving a PhD in Computer Science and Applications, Ping Wang, hooded by Professor Chandan Reddy.
Thank you.
Receiving a PhD in Computer Science and Applications, Jian Shi, hooded by Professor Shandan Reddy. Receiving a PhD in Electrical Engineering, Christina Shakur, hooded by Professor Walid Saad. Receiving a PhD in Electrical Engineering, Zejia Jing, hooded by Professor Saifur Rahman. Receiving an individual interdisciplinary PhD, Kyle Schwing, hooded by Professor Eric Patterson. Receiving a PhD in Mechanical Engineering, Kyle Titus Glover, hooded by Professor Kenneth Wong. Receiving a PhD in Planning, Governance, and Globalization, George Christopher Greenyes, hooded by Professor Chad Levinson. Receiving a PhD in Planning, Governance, and Globalization, James Michael Davich, hooded by Professor Gerard Toll. Receiving a PhD in Planning, Governance, and Globalization, Nareg Hovsep Sefarang, hooded by Professor Gerard Toll. Receiving a PhD in Planning, Governance, and Globalization, Craig Johnson, hooded by Professor Joel Peters. Receiving a PhD in Planning, Governance, and Globalization, Jeanette Ruiz, hooded by Professor Ariel Aram. Receiving a PhD in Public Administration and Public Affairs, Justin Tull, hooded by Professor Matthew Dahl. Receiving a PhD in Science and Technology Studies, Stephen Morton, hooded by Professors Sonia Schmid and Janet Abate. Receiving an educational doctorate in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Lisa Burrell Aldana, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Receiving an educational doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, Geraldine Marie Marsilio, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Receiving an educational doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, Robert Natowski, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Receiving an educational doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, Mariah Runkle, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Receiving an educational doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, Sean Patrick Slaney, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Receiving an educational doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, Eric Wooster, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Receiving an educational doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, Amanda Collins Zayitz, hooded by Professor Carol Cash.
Let's give these graduates a round of applause. Will all the candidates for master's degrees please rise? President Sands, I have the honor of presenting the candidates for the master's degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the master's degrees to which you are entitled with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Please be seated. Will the guides please escort the candidates to the stage?
Receiving a master's degree in computer science and applications, Amir Kimiai. Receiving a master's degree in computer engineering, Kenachukwu Anthony Nwado. Receiving a master's degree in career and technical education, Michaela Amari. Receiving a master's degree in computer science and applications, Abhinav Odullah. Receiving a master's degree in computer science and applications, Daphne Myers. Receiving a master's degree in computer science and applications, Aricha Majumdar. Receiving a master's degree in data analysis and applied statistics, Aubrey Davis. Receiving a master's degree in data analysis and applied statistics, Mariam Tuwami. Receiving a master's degree in data analysis and applied statistics, Mariam Salman. Receiving a master's degree in data analysis and applied statistics, Sechatan Kalava. Receiving a master's degree in computer science and applications, Brendan Molin. Receiving a master's degree in natural resources, Courtney Rierick. Receiving a master's degree in natural resources, Raul Guadarrama Alonso. Receiving a master's degree in computer engineering, Shano Izel. Receiving a master's degree in information technology, Barzi Saber. Receiving a master's degree in public administration and public affairs, William Garrett. Receiving a master's degree in business administration and hospitality and tourism management, Azimullah Beg. Receiving a master's degree in computer science, Haider Ali. Receiving a master's degree in electrical engineering, Benjamin Lyon. Receiving a Master of Engineering degree in electrical engineering, Mina Hani Shaki. Receiving a master's degree in systems engineering, James Stevens III. Receiving a master's degree in public administration and public affairs, Emily Ann Goldhammer. Receiving a master's degree in information technology, Sarah Saeed. Receiving a master's degree in computer engineering, Kriti Kansal. Receiving a master's degree in architecture, Yasmin Abdalal. Receiving a master's degree in information technology, Angela Borden. Receiving a master's degree in computer engineering, Tan Jejun. Receiving a master's degree in computer engineering, Braden Alexander Dickerson. Receiving a master's in business administration, Cindy Acevedo. Receiving a master's in business administration, Xiomara Robles Guerrero. Receiving a master's of business administration, Sarah Mabel Roble Guerrero. Receiving a master's in public administration and public affairs, Taylor Ashley Rogano. Receiving a master's in information technology, Bronco Garcia. Receiving a master's in information technology, Yassine Soufiani. Receiving a master's in information technology, Joel Smith. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Jane Cayetano. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Mariah Monet Damon. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Monzur Alahi. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Sharon Romero. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Nicole Marie McNamara. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Helen Nicole Olson. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Malachi Walker. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Shayla Nesmith. Receiving a Master's of Engineering in Computer Science and Application, Geiping Chen. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Olga Perez. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Laura Castro. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Hannah Elizabeth Kackner. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Allison Ulaki. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, William Redman. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Christopher Evans. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Silas Sullivan. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Mark Goldberg Foss. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Jason Schwartz. Receiving a Master's in Urban and Regional Planning, Amy Lynn Denny. Receiving a Master's in Systems Engineering, Dylan Ma. Receiving a Master's in Systems Engineering, Timothy Howenstein. Receiving a Master's in Public and International Affairs, Caroline Elizabeth Skelly. Receiving a Master's in Public and International Affairs, Curtis Nolan Beatty. Receiving a Master's in Electrical Engineering, Zheyu Zhang. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Hong Zheng. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Tigisti Feshai Tedla. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Jason Michael Butler. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Ryan Virgenis. Receiving a master's in information technology, Jose Abanza Oquel. Receiving a master's in information technology, Rashmi Gupta. Receiving a master's in information technology, Sangeeta Ithakat. Receiving a master's in science and technology studies, Jesus Bonnet. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Kuo Hao Lai. Receiving a master's in computer science, Ting Zhui Su. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Yashin Zhu. Receiving a master's of engineering in computer science, Wei-She Cheng. Receiving a master's in information technology, Luca Santamaria. Receiving a master's in information technology, Gregory Love. Receiving a master's in information technology, Matthew Ori Hargenrader. Receiving a master's in natural resources, Aaron Langauger. Receiving a master's of engineering in computer science, Shriha Grihala. Receiving a master's of engineering in computer science, Vijen Mahesh Trivedi. Receiving a Master's of Science in Business Administration in Hospitality and Tourism Management, Hela Alamosned. Receiving a Master's of Business Administration, Mark Allen Kindy. Receiving a Master's in Computer Engineering, Vikas Krishnan Radhar Krishnan. Receiving a Master's of Computer Science and Applications, Erbanulua Orladipa. Thank you. Receiving a Master's in Natural Resources, Michael Sledge. Receiving a Master's in Architecture, Tavisan Ramesh. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Augustin Chambard. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Catherine Smith. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Megan Reynolds. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Kathleen Cullen. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, India Elizabeth Young. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Gabriel Angelica Gate. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Andrew Ashcraft. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Arilania Verdella Walker. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Imani Ray Hart. Receiving a Master of Architecture, Beza Kashtan. Receiving a Master's of Architecture, Drusya Kakalapudi. Receiving a Master's of Computer Science and Applications, Swati Nagaraja. Receiving a Master's of Agricultural and Life Sciences, Ernesto Luis Acosta. Receiving a Master's of Information Technology, Rashna Bidasaria. Receiving a Master's in Computer Science and Applications, Wenfang Liu. Receiving a Master's in Computer Science and Applications, Wanyi Mao. Receiving a Master's in Architecture, Hoda Taheri. Receiving a Master's of Architecture in Urban Design, Lan Li. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Hossein Jazargeri. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Mayar Arani. Receiving a Master's in Computer Science and Applications, Yuqing Lin. Receiving a Master's in Computer Science and Application, Yuchen Feng. Receiving a Master's of Engineering in Computer Science and Applications, Guangri Wang. Receiving a Master's in Engineering and Computer Science and Applications, Tanbo Liu. Receiving a Master's in Public and International Affairs, Yui Zhao. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Chloe Stone. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Kelly Glarden. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Douglas Gary Levy. Receiving a Master's in Computer Engineering, Sindhu Chava. Receiving a Master's in Business Administration, Dipanshi Behal. Receiving a Master's in Computer Science and Applications, Divya Jyoti Gadapati. Receiving a Master's in Computer Science and Applications, Raghavi Vanala. Receiving a Master's in Information Technology, Santosh Desar. Receiving a master's in natural resources, Charles Edward Isaac Newborn. Receiving a master's in agricultural and life sciences, Saroj Bastola. Receiving a master's in business administration, Rahil Akhtar. Receiving a master's in business administration, Tyler Charles Amato. Receiving a master's in information technology, Joyce Bozecco. Receiving a master's in information technology, John Olszewski. Receiving a master's in information technology, Abubakar Hamid Jallo. Thank you. Receiving a master's in information technology, Wasif Saeed. Receiving a master's in business administration, Manju Hagari. Receiving a master's in business administration, Christopher Cox. Receiving a master's in business administration, Aaron Gore. Receiving a master's in business administration, Bashar Ali Mahir Jarar. Receiving a master's in business administration, Moises Yanez. Receiving a master's in business administration, Yang Fan. Receiving a master's in business administration, Angela Susana Vargas Marcos. Receiving a master's in business administration, Raymond Victor Banks, Jr. Receiving a master's of architecture, Michelle Mary D'Souza. Receiving a master's of architecture and urban design, Christina Jayla Silen. Receiving a master's of architecture and urban design, Prathamesh Pradeep Ruandakar. Receiving a master's of architecture and urban design, Jashwant Demulapalli. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Jeyu Zhou. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Ken Lim. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Jong Hoon Kim. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Harish Ravi. Receiving a master's in natural resources, Jamel White. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Hang Wei. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Zhao Hu. Receiving a master's in environmental engineering, Samuel Long. Receiving a master's in computer engineering, Pratik Sethi. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Aman Saragi. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Priyank Arya. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Tapan Bhatnagar. Receiving a master's in engineering and computer science, Anand Andrew Patel. Receiving a master's in computer science and applications, Jonathan Roof. Receiving a master's of engineering in electrical engineering, Komal Atkar Damecha.
Congratulations, everyone. I would like to also acknowledge those students who have earned a graduate certificate. Please stand as you are able if you have earned the confirmations of this higher education attainment. Well, let's clap anyway. Desiree Creighton Barney, Virginia Tech class of 1986, will now welcome our graduates into the alumni community.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Hokies, graduates, family, and friends. I am Desiree Creighton Barney. I am the immediate past president of the Virginia Tech Alumni Association Board of Directors. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I am so pleased to be the first to welcome you as the newest alumni of Virginia Tech. Congratulations to you, the class of 2023. You've worked hard while sometimes balancing the demands of family and work, and it has paid off. Now that you have achieved this goal, please take a little time to practice some self-care because you've earned it. You are now a special part of a group of more than 270,000 people all over the world. The largest population of Virginia Tech alumni anywhere, close to 60,000 Hokies, reside here in the DMV area. Our community is large, but we share a common bond, our commitment to service, to each other, and to the global community. I strongly encourage you to stay in touch with the university. The first way to do this is very easy. Please make sure that we can find you. Keep your contact information updated with the university so we can inform you about all things Virginia Tech. I invite you to become involved with Virginia Tech by connecting with Hokies in your community through one of your more than a dozen local alumni chapters and returning to campus often for alumni gatherings, football games, and other events. I charge you to give back. Our motto, Ut Prosim, that I may serve, is a part of who we all are. It is a part of what makes us a Hokie. Find a young student to mentor. Answer the call if you are asked to get involved with your college. Good luck with the next season of your life. As you create your path into the world, remember that the Hokie Nation is with you, and we are sure you're going to be successful. Again, congratulations, and go Hokies.
Thank you, Desiree. A special thanks to Maria Stewart as the reader of the names. Awesome job. To the staff ushers and guides. To soloist Kyle Tomlin and to director Charles Peterson and the members of the Quintessential Brass for providing the music for this afternoon's ceremony. Now, please stand until the party has recessed. With the recessional, our ceremony will be concluded. Thank you for joining us. Have a safe trip home, and congratulations again.